Farm Week is a production of the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Today on Farm Week, the Mississippi State University Extension Service is coordinating a program to help rural water systems make neglected repairs and lower their operating cost.
And Southern Gardening will have some suggestions for summer color that can take the heat of our southern summers.
In the markets, further planting delays could make U.S. corn prices spike, while June live cattle prices may continue strong despite what some traders say.
In the feature segment, Patricia O'Brien, the present Mississippi Tree Farmer of the Year. O'Brien's Yallabusha County tree farm has been the scene of some of the happiest and saddest times in her life. That includes wood arson.
I could not believe that somebody would dislike us so much or have such an evil desire in their heart to burn these beautiful trees. I just could not believe it.
Good day, everyone. I'm Leighton Spann.
And I'm Artis Ford. Welcome to Farm Week. In one sense, small towns might be the backbone of the state's agricultural economy.
Artis, maintaining the infrastructure of these communities is a must if the wheels of agriculture are to keep turning. And other than electricity, nothing perhaps is more critical to keeping rural towns alive than reliable running water. A program coordinated by the Mississippi State University Extension Service for small public water systems is proving to be invaluable, especially when expensive problems arise. The symptoms of a water problem in Falcon, Mississippi were obvious. Utility customers were experiencing low water pressure in their homes, and the town's electric bill to keep the water tank full was rising because the pumps had to run constantly.
The primary issue in Falcon over the years has been leaks on the distribution system. Those leaks have resulted in extremely high electricity bills, wells running all the time, and the town is so small that they can't really afford to hire the help that they need to come in and address these issues.
The water operator found the assistance he needed through the Extension Service. A team of volunteers from other public water systems came to Falcon's rescue through what's known as the peer review program coordinated by Extension. Armed with shovels and a backhoe, the volunteers gathered along Falcon Road and began the painstaking task of finding the breaks in the town's water mains and repairing them.
That's the program in which we get certified operators from different water systems in an area to come out and assist another water system to help them with health department regulations and requirements. But they did volunteer to take it a step further and come out and physically help do some of the work on these water mains.
In fact, we just located the main line and the leak, and we're about to put a clamp on that. The residents, their pressure will increase, the well won't run as often, their electricity bill will go down, and it'll be a win-win situation all the way around.
What was a critical water situation for the 300 residents of Falcon was resolved through the peer review program from the Extension Center for Government and Community Development at Mississippi State. From Falcon, Mississippi, I'm Leighton Spann reporting.
Many of us are in the process of making planting plans for our landscapes. In this week's Southern Gardening segment, Extension horticulturist Dr. Gary Bachman has some great plants to consider for spring and summer color.
If you're like me, you're ready for the warm days of summer and the color in our gardens and landscapes. Today I'm at JDS Nursery taking in some of the new color for the spring and summer seasons. A favorite of mine is the snapdragon relative Nemesia, that colorful annual from South Africa. The beautiful flowers are a ½ inch in diameter and the interior is bearded. Newer selections include Honey Blue Eye, which is a soft violet blue. Pink Fruticans is a nice pastel pink and pure honey white. Verbena, with their spreading growth habit, have been garden staples for many years. The foliage is a rich green color and has a spicy aroma when brushed. The flower clusters are displayed above the foliage. The Lanai series offers some spectacular choices in flower colors. Twister pink flowers are pink in the middle and have an outer ring of white with light pink edges. Premium Candy Cane is appropriately named. The flowers have alternating red and white stripes just like that favorite Christmas treat. And Lanai Strawberry and Cream flower clusters are a mixture of soft pinks and salmon colors. A perennial I really enjoy is the threadleaf Coreopsis, and here are 3 Coloropsis selections with exciting 2-inch flowers. Limbo has bright white flowers with dark eyes. The flowers of Salsa are golden yellow with a wide burgundy eye, and Jive has white flowers with a burgundy eye and an orange center.
So take my advice and get out to the garden center and pick some beautiful and colorful plants for your landscape this year. I'm horticulturist Gary Bachman for Southern Gardening.
Makes you want to get out there and do it. Boy,
does,
those plants were beautiful.
They are.
Gary says, decide on the location for your plants before you visit your garden center, and this will help the employees there to help you to pick the right plants for that situation. In the feature segment today, Patricia O'Brien, the Mississippi Forestry Association Outstanding Tree Farmer of the Year. She's one of 2 finalists for the Southeastern Tree Farmer of the Year honors. Time now for the markets with Leighton, and you say this week's pre-Easter cold snap is creating some chatter.
Not only, artists, is it possibly a concern as far as impact on fruit crops, but also in the markets, U.S. winter wheat in some parts of the country may be further damaged by it. Meanwhile, some traders believe corn prices can still head higher as fat cattle prices continue to defy technical signals. In some areas of the South especially, there is concern that this week's cold snap may have impacted this year's peach crop. Bloomberg News talked to the president of a 5,000-acre South Carolina farm, one that sells peaches all over the Southeast and East through Walmart and Kroger. Chalmers Carr told Reuters that finding southern peaches on a store shelf is going to be a challenge, and if you do, prices will be up come May and June. Well, it's not only the recent additional cold weather, but also foreign affairs that are teaming up as a bearish catalyst in the wheat market these days. A Twitter update from T-Storm Weather this week noted that 13% of the U.S. hard red winter wheat production may have been afflicted by winter kill where the crop is jointing. Wheat, by the way, in the jointing stage is most at risk, but freeze damage may not become really apparent for another week. The situation in Ukraine, meanwhile, is the other bearish factor at play for wheat. There are growing concerns that continuing unrest there could disrupt Ukraine's grain exports, especially wheat. In the rice market this week, tight U.S. stocks have been supportive of the market. However, increasing world stocks are quickly overshadowing that positive news. Farm Bureau analysts note that heavy rain this past week across the Delta and on the cold temperatures served to further delay planting. AgFacts.com quotes traders as saying the rice market is still trending higher, with support for July running near $15.35. Well, as we record this edition at midday on Thursday, Brugler Marketing reports corn futures are trading steady across the board there. Meanwhile, analyst Sue Martin remains bullish on corn. She is of the opinion corn has not gotten close to where it's headed price-wise.
If we get into May and we have a 5 in front of our calendar date and not much corn's gotten planted, this market's going to be moving more aggressively than it has. We have huge saucer bottoms on the charts, very friendly. Myself, I have indicators that I watch. They are very, very low in percentage, and they're timing indicators, and I have a hard time being bearish corn. I like corn a lot.
There are reports this week that per acre fertilizer costs for producers should be lower in 2014 than in some recent years. Monthly prices so far this year for anhydrous ammonia, diammonium phosphate, or DAP, and potash have been below prices for 2011, 12, and 13. Analysts are even suggesting that fertilizer costs for corn should run of $150 per acre in 2014 compared to costs near $200 per acre the previous two crop years. Well, let's break from the markets now for a moment to look at the trivia quiz for this week. And here is the question. How does Mississippi rank nationally in the production of pulpwood? Is the answer number 1, number 2, or number 3, or is the answer number 5? I'll tell you at the end of the markets.
We're going to pause for a short break on Farm Week. Coming up, we'll look at the calendar and the rest of the markets. Leighton Span reports one poultry company is laying off employees, while another reports greater earnings. In the feature segment today, Patricia O'Brien, the Mississippi Forestry Association Outstanding Tree Farmer of the Year. She's a finalist for Southeastern Tree Farmer of the Year.
Hey, do you see something cool? Sure. Coming home.
Before we get back to the markets, let's look at the Farm Week calendar. East Mississippi catfish farmers are invited to a workshop on controlling trematode parasites in catfish. It takes place Wednesday, April 30th at the Noxubee County Civic Center in Macon. The hours are 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Humans cannot catch trematodes from catfish, but trematodes can affect a grower's profitability. Producers will learn about the trematode's life cycle and options to control them. Farmers interested in commercial strawberry production should attend a short course on Tuesday and Wednesday, May 13th and 14th. It will take place at the Choctaw Ag Complex just off Highway 16 in Neshoba County. That's west of Philadelphia. Attendance is free. Pre-registration is required, and we will have a link on our Farm Week website calendar. Experts will appear from Mississippi State University, the University of Arkansas, and the Mississippi Department of Ag and Commerce. Strawberry growers from Mississippi and Arkansas are also on the agenda. This workshop is for commercial growers and not for home gardeners. Go to our Farm Week website at farmweek.msucares.com for information on these and other events. Now check out this week's Farm Week Snapshot.
We have news from both ends of the spectrum, as you would say, as far as the poultry industry this week. The bad news first. In southeast Alabama, Wayne Farms has announced it is laying off more than 500 workers at a processing facility in Dothan. The company says the deboning lines at that Dothan plant will no longer be necessary and that the workers involved will be let go by June 8th. All poultry slaughtered at that Dothan plant reportedly will be sent to a facility in Phoenix City, Alabama when the downsizing takes place. Right now, the Dothan plant employs a total of 900 people. Meanwhile, on the opposite end of the spectrum, some positive news in poultry. Analysts said this week that Sanderson Farms of Laurel and competitor Pilgrim's Pride will both likely have higher earnings this year. This forecast is based on stronger poultry prices and other positive factors, including higher corn production. Traders also think that U.S. export demand for chicken should rise if Mexico experiences a widespread outbreak of avian flu. We move into beef now, and the fat cattle market in particular. There's still a very tight supply and demand situation in this trade, according to DTN senior analyst Darren Newsom. He says the June to August spreads are still very bullish, despite what some of the charts are indicating.
We've got technical signals galore saying that cattle should be going down. But one thing that's always been fun about trading the cattle or watching the cattle or analyzing the cattle market is that they don't care about charts. It's a cash-driven market, and as long as the cash market remains strong, you're not going to be able to break the futures for very long. You'll see a couple weeks down, but it'll come roaring back, and I still believe that's where the cash cattle market is. That's where the live cattle futures are. Look for the June contract to continue to run. April's, really losing some steam in here because it's getting close to going off, but June cattle should continue to run.
We close the markets in the hog sector, where the curtain has been lifted a little bit on the status of the PED virus. Reuters reports Cargill Chairman Greg Page says the mortality of young pigs from the much-discussed virus has abated significantly within Cargill's herds. However, Cargill is reporting what it calls multi-million-dollar losses due to the shortage of hogs caused by the PED virus. Page is quoted as saying that because the death loss was in very young pigs, the situation will have a long tail, as he put it, through the end of the summer. Well, before our feature story, let's look once more at the trivia question and give you the answer for this week. The correct choice is C. Mississippi is number 3 in the country in the production of pulpwood.
In our feature segment today, Patricia O'Brien. She's the president of Mississippi Forestry Association Outstanding Tree Farmer of the Year. While couples have received the award in the past, she is the first woman to receive it outright. O'Brien and her sister Joy Swearingen own Twin Oaks Farm in Yalobusha County. Now O'Brien is one of only 2 people being considered for Southeastern Tree Farmer of the Year honors. There's a long family tradition at Twin Oaks, but tradition doesn't mean living in the past. O'Brien and her family are making Twin Oaks pull its own weight by developing multiple income streams on the property.
One day I was riding my four-wheeler down through here, and as I got down to this end, a mother turkey flew up into the tree, and there were all kinds of little baby turkeys just right there around me. It was so exciting, so thrilling to watch them as they took to cover, and I was just right there amongst them.
Wildlife management for hunting and enjoyment is one of the many goals being accomplished at Twin Oaks Farm. The 1,200-acre tree farm is located in Yalobusha County. It's owned by O'Brien and her sister, Joy Swearingen. O'Brien is the managing partner. She's definitely not an absentee landlord.
What got my attention was her enthusiasm in managing just not necessarily the forest, but the entire property, and being a good steward of the entire property, all aspects of a property. She's real involved.
Twin Oaks has been a certified tree farm since 1959. The farm has been under a written management plan since O'Brien's father passed away in 1982.
It's been a real pleasure working with them. They've got just a variety of stands, and I was able to update their tree farm plan 2 years ago. With 1,200 acres, they've got, I think I calculated there were about 20 different stands on the property in a variety of age class distributions, so we got a lot to work with.
As far as wildlife, we have the hunt club revenues, and then we have the fish club revenues. And my husband is exploring and getting into beekeeping, and I do some production gardening.
Multiple income streams are a priority at Twin Oaks. The goal is to use the land's resources in a sustainable, professionally managed manner.
When we first came up here and talked to Patrice and them, one of the first things she said was she wants something growing on every inch of her farm. And she didn't care if that was grass, trees, or whatever. If she couldn't grow trees there, she was going to grow something else there.
One of those income streams is hunting leases. Gary Crafton leads the Tillett Hunting Club on the Twin Oaks property. O'Brien wanted a long-term lease with a small club. This fit Crafton and his brother Glenn's expectations. This allows them to make facility investments they would not otherwise make if the lease was year to year. They also practice quality deer management. This is the largest buck harvested so far, but all bucks have increased in size.
Deer of this size were the high-end bucks that we were seeing on this place when we first began hunting on this lease. And through proper nutrition and age, we're now seeing more and more bucks like this, letting the young bucks live, harvesting numbers of does.
With 48 acres of water and 2 lakes, fishing has always been an interest at Twin Oaks, especially for Lamar O'Brien, Patrice's husband. Professionally managed with the help of consultant Larry Clay, the lakes are now part of a fishing club where the members pay an annual fee. Largemouth bass, crappie, and brim can be found. At this point, catching a string of 2 to 2.5 pound bass is common, with some 10-pounders reported.
We've had this going on for about 5 years now, and we've had consistent members every year. Matter of fact, this last year, all of our members re-upped.
I've been encouraged by it. This one in particular with the shad take, like I said, we put them in about 3 years ago.
Everywhere we looked today, we saw shad. So a bass or a crappie that's hungry, all they've got to do is open their mouth pretty much and get a meal.
They're looking, like Larry said, for a quality fishing experience, where on a private lake they don't have a lot of the conflict with other folks in public lakes. They enjoy coming out here fishing. If they catch 10 or 15 fish, it's been a good day.
Twin Oaks has been in Patrice O'Brien's family since the early 1840s. The oldest part of the farmhouse dates back to 1917, the barn to the 1940s. Trees blown down by storms are sawn into boards and used for repairs to the house and barn, such as this hallway flooring and kitchen cabinets. While Twin Oaks is a working farm, there are places known as special sites. This cypress lowland O'Brien and her daughter Kelly are walking through has been set aside for generations.
This area has been set aside. My grandfather found it to be a special place and passed it down to his children, and my mom will pass it down to me. It really is just a special place.
This is a scion, Bill.
This is the site of one of the darkest days at Twin Oaks Farm. It occurred in early spring 2007. A woods arsonist set fire to a 9-year-old 65-acre stand of Conservation Reserve Program hardwood trees.
I could not believe that somebody would dislike us so much or have such an evil desire in their heart to burn these beautiful trees. I just could not believe it.
While the whole stand did not burn, there was extensive damage. Fortunately, the fire occurred when the trees were dormant. In the spring, many of the trees grew sprouts from the roots called scions. That was a blessing, but for 3 winters, the O'Briens sawed out the dead trunks and thinned the scions, all the while fighting briars and brush.
If we hadn't done it, you would have had virtually non-merchantable trees here, or you would have had some, because each one of these scions takes energy from the roots there. So they're competing with each other. Really what you want is to be able to eliminate down to the main scion, so all the energy from the roots go into this main scion.
The CRP hardwood trees had been planted originally in an effort to halt the growing erosion along Tillett Creek and its tributary on Twin Oaks Farm. The problem started in the 1960s after the construction of Interstate 55 west of the farm. Inadequate culverts prompted flooding along the creek. Dredging efforts downstream of Twin Oaks eventually caused massive amounts of erosion on Twin Oaks itself. O'Brien remembers when the tributary creek was a ditch you could step over.
We've estimated that we've lost probably somewhere between 4.5 and 8 acres of land. Valuable, cultivatable, fertile cropland to this creek erosion.
O'Brien and her sister, with support from Yalobusha County, worked with Mississippi's U.S. Senators Thad Cochran and Trent Lott. Money was finally allocated in the 2002 Farm Bill to install berms, drainage pipes, and riprap.
We'd already spent over $10,000 in pipes and culverts and ditch work to hold what we thought we could hold, but it kept washing out. Even the county roads up here, they've spent probably close to $1 million on bridges.
While Patricia O'Brien is a hands-on tree farm owner, she's also very active on behalf of forestry in Mississippi and the United States. She's hosted forestry field days at Twin Oaks. O'Brien has served in several positions with the Mississippi Forestry Association, including the Board of Directors. Nationally, she's been a member of the Forest Landowners Association, serving as a regional vice president and board member, even traveling to Washington to lobby on behalf of forestry.
She's also been the president of the Rankin County Forestry Association, and she was the secretary-treasurer for many, many years. A lot of things get done when Patrice O'Brien's involved.
Eventually, the care of Twin Oaks Farm will fall to the 5th generation, O'Brien's children, Kelly and Brad. Twin Oaks appears to be in good hands.
But there's something about having a place to call home and having a piece of property that's your own, not just a house, but land to tend and a garden to grow and fresh tomatoes on the table. And it's hard to imagine life without Twin Oaks, finding your peaceful spot.
And you can watch this story on Patricia O'Brien again on the Farm Week website, Facebook page, YouTube, or Twitter. The website address is farmweek.msucares.com. We'll also have links and contact information for public agencies where you can go to get forestry advice to help you manage your tree farm. And Layton, the inspectors for the Southeastern Tree Farm Award, they'll be coming here towards the end of the month, so Patrice and her family are naturally working to make sure Twin Oaks looks as good as it possibly can. I believe she'll actually take that, and I think she's got a good shot at national. We'll just have to see. Mississippi puts up so many great candidates, though.
Right.
We tend to swamp everybody else. Well, we are at the end of Farm Week for this week. On our next show, Kent Winstead, the Mississippi Forestry Association Outstanding Logger of the Year.
Logging runs deep in the Winstead family, but his business is a modern one that operates safely and sustainably.
Also next week, Mississippi landowners and local government officials find out about oil and gas development in the state.
And in Southern Gardening, Caliber Co-op, this plant loves the sun.
For the rest of the Farm Week crew, I'm Artis Ford.
And I'm Layton Spann. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.